Hey, you're probably wondering how I have all this fame and fortune. Well, it's because of one thing, and that is I know how to use displacement maps in After Effects. Okay, here's how it works. You have your footage and then your displacement map. The map can be in color, black and white, doesn't matter, but each pixel has an RGB value. And as you probably know, it goes from 0 to 255. Displacement maps in After Effects need to know which direction to push each pixel. So 50% gray has no effect at all. Any value below goes one way, any value above pushes the other way. Okay, so the last thing we need to know is each or all of the RGB values can be selected as the displacement map driver. I'll show you. Okay, so for this first example, this will be my footage, and then this photo will be my displacement map. So a quick thing to note is if you have any scale on your footage or your displacement map, it might create an effect that you're not expecting. So to solve most of your problems, make sure you pre-compose both the displacement map and or the footage to make sure that there's no scale and it's all the same crop. So make sure it's on move all attributes. Let's call this displacement map. So then I'll hide that, go back to my footage and add a displacement map effect on top. So on this photograph, you'll see a lot of blue. So if I choose the horizontal displacement to be blue, it'll be picking the blue values. So you'll see, make sure you're on displacement map. It will be affecting a lot of that sky here. See, it's going to be pulling from that sky. Let's choose green. Not as much, more the building. Red, also mostly the building. And the same goes for the vertical. So I'll choose blue. Let's see, it's a lot of the sky. The same goes for this. And blue. Back to blue. I, most of the time, just use red, green, and blue. But of course, you can experiment with all of these options as well. But just play around, and I think you'll get a hang of it pretty quickly. Okay, so in this example, I'm going to take a photo of concrete and turn it into an animated displacement map. So let's drag this into our timeline. And I'm going to pre-compose this, call it animated displacement, and select move all attributes. So now I'm going to add a random location per frame. So let's hold Option or Alt and then add a wiggle expression. So here it accepts two values, the frequency and the amount. So I'm going to do 24 because it's 24 frames per second. So that means it will update each frame. And then let's do 600 for the amount. So now it will look like that. So it will update each frame. Cool. So now I have this cool noise texture. I will hide that and pre-compose our type here. Now add my displacement map to that type and select our new displacement. Yay! So because this is basically black and white, choosing a different driver for the RGB won't really affect it a whole lot. So I'll just keep it at red. I will reduce the amount to 1 and increase the vertical to say 12. Cool. So this is what it looks like. So if you want to change how this looks, we can just add some effects. I'll make it a bit more crunchier. Yeah, let's do something like that. I'll highlight again. And then it will not take effect yet because it's still set to the source. So I'm going to set it to the effects. Cool. So now it has that nice crunchiness to it. Cool. Now I have this trick, this ink bleed trick. I'll add a simple choker to the type, and I'll do 2 and then -3 to add this nice ink bleed effect. Look at that. Oh yeah. And I might just put this in between to make it more crunchier, like that. Cool. And then I might bring back and just set it to multiply. Cool. Look at that. So last thing I'll do is I'll add a adjustment layer and do a posterize time to kind of have that stop motion effect. Boom. Check that out. This next example is more of a VFX compositing trick. So I want to make this water come to life. Let's say this is a animation, or you just want to turn a photograph into a live picture. So I'm going to first add a adjustment layer on top, and I'm going to just crop it to the water lines somewhere like that. And I'll add a directional blur like so to kind of reduce the amount of current wave ripples. Something like that is cool. And then I'm going to find a stock video that has a very similar perspective and angle. So I'm going to drag this in here and just scale it up to cover where I want the effect to take place. Like this. Cool. And then I'm going to pre-compose, call it water, move all attributes. And then I'm going to turn off the opacity, but still keep it on so that I can just do a mask around like so. Cool. And then I'm going to increase the opacity again. Now I'm going to hide it and add a adjustment layer on top and do my displacement map on top. And select that water and make sure you have effects and masks like so. So now when you click play, you have some of that water effect. Look at that. How cool is that? Now, that's not perfect, but it's a really quick way to add some water effects to your comp. So I'm going to also check this to kind of remove those edges. And there you have it. Too much and it'll look just crazy. So you probably don't want to do something like that. That's a little bit off, but just a little bit. And it looks pretty fun. I normally use this technique for animations to just add some extra texture to my compositing without doing a whole water simulation. Whew, okay, hopefully your brain could digest all of that. I created a pack of animated displacement maps that I actually use on basically all my projects. This was created by scanning paper and other found objects, as well as some analog recreations. If you would like to try it out, the link to purchase it is in the description. Hopefully this tutorial has been helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you.